It's Nolan.
Never have to run. Here's how it goes.
Since a kid, I've been overlooked for my quiet notions. Been a victim of psychosis, no diagnosis. I go to sleep and see fire emojis. I'm all over the track like a death of the railroad. Pull a card and all your favorites get paid like a tarot. Bow to the pharaoh, my apparel is the cloak of gods. How did this world see my talent? It's like it came from Mars. Melodramatic, I bring distortion and static. I bring extortion and rappers might take them horses for cabbage out. I break the mold for the narrow mind. I'm aerodynamic, floating over ya. Saying code for Angola, pro black. Hard drip with no cap, I'm one sap. Running with the paper like Goldman Sachs, my phone is tapped. All this knowledge I'm kicking probably be hurting me. Currently they say stay current to get the currency. I'm sticking around simply for courtesy, for referring me. Learn from Malcolm X, they could pay my homies to murder me. Ooh, I was born to be the world's new challenger, shooting star. He just shooting at stars like Gallagher, 38 caliber, shooting through the center like diameter on camera. I'm the best with iambic pentameter. My stamina will unearth amateurs like an MK uppercut. These niggas get nervous feeling like bubble guts. Used to make pizzas with cheddar cheese and an upper crust. Now I'm giving niggas directions just like a compass does. Pompous little nigga been popping since I was teenage. Looking for a shot, I just picked your name like a sweepstakes. It's scientific, my method to choose the highest bidding. I'm everywhere like a meme using a common image. Cunning linguist, I'm fighting with the establishment, but still keep a style that's fit for any establishment. Flow valuable like a talisman. I've been channeling legendary approaches for brown people like Tamarin. My niggas got it. I walk the land with a loving goddess. Excommunicate these rappers like I'm with the Amish. Never attended college, tuition should pay me homage. I throw it back to the Panthers, ain't talking Kerry Collins. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Once again, as you can tell from the thumbnail on this video, we're going to be getting into the entertainment and commentary sector of the show. Not so much on music. But we got to get into this Armon Wiggins situation. Before we jump into that, though, I do want to give a couple shout outs. I want to give a big shout out to Solo in the Crowd for supporting the channel. I want to give a big shout out to Schwartz for supporting the Southside Nolan album, also becoming a member on the channel. And I want to give a big shout out to all of the members on the channel, everybody that's contributing towards what we're doing over here. I greatly appreciate it. Your contribution does not go unnoticed or overlooked. So much love and respect to all of y'all on that. All right, so getting into this Armon situation, right? We all know how this Fox Soul TGIF thing unfolded, and when that whole ordeal took place, we talked about it on this very channel, which is the reason why I'm speaking about it now, because there are some new updates that are going on, that have taken place, that are afoot. All right? So first up is Funky Dineva, and we're not going to dive too deeply into his interview with Carlos King, but within that interview with Carlos King, he did come out and basically, in so many ways, try to say that Armon is the reason why TGIF got canceled. Basically put the onus all on him for being like immature and not being able to handle himself in this, I guess, pseudo corporate environment. And I say pseudo because, of course, Fox is a big conglomerate, but Fox Soul is a much smaller division, smaller entity. And based on what Armon had to say about the situation, and we're going to get to all that, it wasn't handled all that professionally from the time he got there. So, yeah, we'll say pseudo corporate, pseudo professional, right? So at the point where Funky said these things about Armon, it was already kind of circulating that he had said these things, right? He basically came out and said that he tried to give Armon some warnings or some tips on how to go into the situation and basically give him the lay of the land so that he can be successful in this new venture. At least that's the way he tried to portray it, right? According to Armon, all of this shit is a farce. It's bullshit, right? But I gotta walk y'all into the scenario though. We can't just jump into it. So he says all these things. From there, it starts circulating that these things were said. And then Armon jumps on his show and says, you know what? I'm tired of niggas playing with my motherfucking name. Let me come out here and clear my shit up. Let me clear up all the shit, everything that y'all been speculating about, wondering about, because even on my channel, I was saying, I don't know everything that took place. I can only go off of the facts or the information that's been presented. And even when all of that took place, I felt like everybody had their own role in the situation because again, there were already issues that were present that predated Armon even getting the job. So it's no way that he could just come into a situation and just completely sabotage everything on his own. I feel like everybody had their, or at least I felt like everybody had their place. And I still feel like everybody had their place because you gotta maintain decorum. You gotta have happy co-hosts on screen. You gotta have happy production. People gotta feel good about doing the job. And it seems that some of these factors were not present, right? But we weren't privy to all of these things, all right? So Armon was widely blamed for the roast, and I was critical of the roast myself because I felt like he knew that it was going to shake some things up and cause a rift between himself and Al. But what I did not understand is that he ain't give a fuck about how Al was going to take that shit because there was so much other shit going on behind the scenes and on the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Because people were already calling out that Al's energy on the show was getting a little weird toward Armon. So, hey, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. We talk about that all the time over here. So, boom. There was already rumblings of the TGIF show having a declining viewership from the replacement of Funky Dineva when he left. Armon did come out and address that when the turmoil of the show took place. He basically came out and said, yo, they was kind of getting on my head. Like, yo, you got to spice it up. You got to bring more fire to the show so that we could build this thing up. So based on what he felt was being told to him, he wasn't responsible for the decline in the show. He was actually responsible for trying to build it back up, because clearly you take somebody like Funky Dineva who's been on YouTube streets and done TV, reality TV, all types of stuff like that, name recognition, you remove that piece from the chessboard, what is going to fill that void, right? So of course, him coming in, it's not like he's just gonna put the show on his back because it's not his show. I mean, come on now. So Funky in his interview talked about leaving due to contractual disputes and things that just didn't work out for whatever reason. And he admitted to being shady towards Fox Soul after his departure from the show. You know what I'm saying? He went live on YouTube at the very same time that TGIF was airing on YouTube. So he was trying to show, you know, my viewership can compete with what y'all got going on over there. So really, me not being a part of that show, I ain't taking no L's. Y'all thought I couldn't come back to YouTube because I had stopped dropping content, but my audience is here waiting for me to come back, right? However, when it came to speaking about Armon, he felt like he was immature. But as a fully grown man, I don't even know how old Funky is, but I know he older than me, and I would assume older than Armon. How mature is it for you to go on your show and openly compete with your past employer, just like fresh off of leaving, you know what I'm saying? And throwing shade and being, you know what I mean? So where does the maturity stop and go? You know what I'm saying? Or is it a moving goalpost based on who we're talking about? Right? Which is one of Armon's talking points. And he's basically saying that it's okay for you to be spiteful. It's okay for you to dish out your grievances with the company. But when it comes to him, he doesn't get that same grace. Right? Also addressed in Armon's live, he talked about everybody that had this narrative, that's been pushing this narrative that he was making $250,000 and he just fumbled the bag. This is a really big talking point because content creators such as myself, and I include myself in this bunch, I'm like, damn, y'all messed up the money. And I didn't just put that on Armon. I put that on the entire team and staff. Like, y'all fucked up the bag. He comes out and says, dog, they was giving me $70K. It wasn't no $250 a year. And I wasn't signed on for no motherfucking year neither. It was 6 months. $70K, 6 months. Ultimately, it wasn't all that great for him. I won't say it wasn't enough, but I'll say it wasn't all that great for him. Because for me, looking at the situation, even with the 70, I was like, okay, well, hold on, cut. Shit, what? You don't know what I could do with that. But I live in the South. I'm in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different out here compared to on the West Coast. I think the West Coast, they cost of living is damn near 2-3 times more than what it is out here. Minimum. Which is why the wage gap is different when you move out to those areas. So, yeah, that perspective is going to be a little bit different based on his locale, what he has going on, the lifestyle he's been maintaining off of his own YouTube, which in order for him to successfully engage with TGIF, he then has to allow his YouTube to take a back seat so that he could be present 5 days a week to do this show on Fox Soul. So I'm not making money from my YouTube, or at least not what I could be. So I'm taking a substantial wage decrease off of just my own production and not having to fuck with y'all or change my subject matter, or, you know what I'm saying, not compete with the stuff that's being said on the show. But also, the 70 y'all giving me is not actually supplementing my losses, right? But y'all don't know that. Nobody knew that, right? But once everything fell through the cracks, that was one of the big narratives that was being put out there, is that this nigga fumbled 250 racks a year on some bullshit. Well, we could throw that in a dumpster. Okay? So not only was he making less, because Claudia and Al, 250 was par for the course, but he's making damn near 4 times less, right? On a 6-month, basically, trial contract. And from there, he even goes on to say, all right, he talked to his mom. She said, take the opportunity. It's for the branding aspect, the opportunity aspect, associating yourself with a bigger conglomerate. This could lead to more things. So he goes into it. Then come to find out, not only was he being paid substantially less, but the other opportunities and the brand recognition and the red carpets and big events and access and all of that stuff that you thought comes with the job, nah, it's nowhere to be found. As a matter of fact, if you were to go find it, they didn't even have the budget to accentuate none of that. So if you wanted to be a part of anything, you want to go to the BET Awards, you want to go here, you want to go there, you want to do this, you want to do that, red carpet, blah, 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 all expenses fall on the talent. And he's looking at it like, shit, y'all already only paying me 70 racks. But if I got to go to an event and do this and represent y'all because I'm the face of your show, I got to provide wardrobe. I got to provide a camera crew, audio crew. You know what I'm saying? If I got to travel, if I got to stay somewhere, like car rentals, all type of shit falls on the talent. So y'all are, so that means if I want to represent y'all to the fullest capability that I can, it's coming out of my pocket, which already isn't filled to my liking, if you're Armon, right? That's how he viewed the situation. Okay? So then he goes into saying, upon being hired, he wasn't even properly welcomed to the team. Okay? He said they didn't have no goddamn onboarding meeting, no welcome meeting. They didn't get him no mug. Goddamn shit, I don't even know if you got a welcome email. Right? So they said, man, they just threw me into the motherfucking fire in the pits of hell. Woo, there you go. Hope you float. If not, it's on you, buddy. Which, Some people may look at that and be like, oh, what's the big deal? Well, I mean, we live in a fucking America. In America, there is a such thing as company culture. And when you get introduced to poor company culture, for the most part, the average person is going to say, all right, I ain't going to be here long. This ain't what I thought I was walking into. Right? That's being fair. I know there's a lot of people out there that just don't like Armon for nothing, no reason, just like fuck him. But if that's how you feel about him, you really shouldn't be watching this video unless you thought I was going to be jumping on a nigga back. Joke's on you, I guess, because I ain't jumping on nobody back for real. I'm just recapping what the conversation is. Right? So no proper meeting, no introduction to the production squad, like nothing. So then we get back to Funky Dineva saying, you know, upon his departure, he gave Armon the directives, right? Be wary of Claudia, keep an eye out for this, keep an eye out for that, blah, blah, blah. And basically in so many words saying Claudia was a problematic figure at the company, at the show. So, you know, just kind of steer clear of her. Do your job, do your shit, and you'll be good. Now, when everything initially did come under fire, Claudia did some interviews. She came out and went live and did stuff like that. And she basically said that there was a bit of a disconnect between herself and Armon when he was brought onto the show. Partially because she never really wanted him on the show, although she was a viewer of his content and they had some interactions prior to it. I guess she just felt like he wasn't ready for this particular stage, right? And that was also voiced in some of her texts where she basically said, you know, get this kid to shut up or he's going to end up offing himself. And when I say offing himself, I'm just saying in terms of, you know, commentary on the show that's going to get him under a lot of fire, under a lot of scrutiny. Right? So those were her expectations of Armon. And again, she addressed some of that stuff when everything started burning. She addressed speaking about, you know, a lack of chemistry. And she also spoke to the fact that she had tried to call Armon and got crickets. That's what she received. She didn't know why, but that's what it was. Right? Armon then comes out and says, you know, it wasn't just that. It was also the fact that he was exposed to some leaked emails that were voicing Claudia's lack of support in their choice bringing him on, right? Which lends to what I was just talking about. So he's already, you know what I mean? He's been warned about her. And then just coming into the company, he gets exposed to, okay, she don't want you here. So now it's like, all right, bet. I'm really not finna fuck with you. You got to put yourself in these actual scenarios. You got to put yourself in these positions in order to really understand what Armon is talking about or understand what he's going through and understand how it feels to be in that sort of situation. I think a lot of people go through a very non-confrontational lifestyle and then critique people that actually run into confrontation and perhaps they don't run from confrontation, which I think is kind of a hypocritical thing. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that you're supposed to create confrontation or that you're supposed to perpetuate it, but if you live in a pretty peaceful life, some motherfuckers don't go outside, never, don't interact with nobody, ain't got no friends, no nothing, ain't never had to deal with a disagreement that didn't go your way type shit. Like, a lot of motherfuckers need to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Nigga be trying to come out acting like they so goddamn smart and shit. But you got to put yourself in another person's shoes, which is something that I try to do on my channel as much as possible. Some stuff I feel like, fuck it. But for the most part, I put myself in people's shoes and look at things from multiple perspectives before I come out here and say things. That's another reason why certain people don't like me, is because they feel like I give some people more rope than others. That's their thought. I'm not saying that's what I do, but that's their thought, because they really want me to go in on a motherfucker. But then I'll say, but I can see it from this angle too. And then be like, hey man, I got my own mind, just as you do. Okay? You come here to hear me say what the fuck I got to say, and we can have a respectful back and forth in the comments or the chat or whatever it may be. But just calmate. You know what I'm saying? Emotional reactions is crazy when motherfucker don't even know me. But anyway, it ain't about me. So he's going in and just doing his job 5 days a week, fulfilling his, obligation, keeping it trucking. But from there we get Al that starts playing like he's really, got some desire to be Armon's friend, or like they gonna be tight. He's basically leading them on, showing them private texts between himself and Claudia, and saying, she don't fuck with you. So now this is like third infraction confirmation. And basically Al is kind of giving him the energy of let's link up and, run this shit up, and we're going to kind of run her up out of here. That is until Armon got his music segment on the show, then Al's whole demeanor changed. Everything just switched up. Now all of a sudden we start getting into passive aggressive behavior. The boy stuff starts coming up, right? Which turned into a big issue outside, you know what I mean? On social media, the viewers, people started pointing this stuff out. It was called into question. And he basically felt like he didn't get a segment until years into the show, but now Armon's only been here for a short period and he gets to have a music segment. But you got to lean into the talent. You got to lean into what the talent is good at. Maybe they didn't give you a segment on your show because they didn't know what the fuck you was good at. What do you bring to the table? Armon, outside of y'all show, talks about music. He's the one connected to the music game, which is one of the most vital pieces of entertainment we have. It drives channels left and right on this platform. Yeah, we want a piece of that. When I say we, I'm talking about Fox Soul. Right? So at this point, he starts feeling like he's getting pressure from the higher ups now. They're putting extra scrutiny on things. Al is complaining behind the scenes, which is causing them to put this scrutiny on him because he didn't know where it came from. Now they're judging how he's presenting himself on the show. Why you wearing hats? Why you wearing jewelry? Why you doing this? Why you dressed like that? But before it was no issue. He feels like Al was putting the squeeze on somebody in the production team, head of programming or something to that effect. Right? So then Armon and Claudia end up having a one-on-one conversation, hash out their differences, come to some sort of middle ground, some understanding of where they stand. Their whole tone shifts, and now it's like, shit, Al is the motherfucker that got to get up out of here. Now, some people may say Armon is being, naive, right? He's being led by both parties. And being that he's still cool with Claudia to this day, some people say he needs to watch out for her. They feel like she might be a snake in the grass. They feel like all of these different things. I can't speak to that, honestly. I don't know enough about Claudia to say she's a snake in the grass. And for those that do say those things, I don't feel like y'all really offer up enough quality information to confirm that, just to be honest. Other than hunches and feelings, I guess. But feelings and business don't always seem to mix, as we can tell with this fucking show. Okay? So they get on the good foot like Jane Brown. And everything works. But then you see everything with the roast happens. The Lunel situation happens. The show goes on a hiatus of some sort. Funky's on live. Al calls in while Funky's live. Did you see what's going on? Nah, nigga, da-da-da-da. I'm live right now. I don't give a fuck. Right? So clearly at this point, the fourth wall has been removed, right? We see Funky and Al, they're still connected. They're having side conversations about what's going on, which Armon feels is what has shifted Funky's perspective of the situation and why he gets to blame Armon for the entire downfall of the show, because that's where he's getting his information from, his homie. But again, Armon doesn't like that Funky gets to portray himself as some innocent bystander that doesn't know anything, because all of the issues that he walked into were the same issues that Funky was a part of. Right? Same issues he alleges he was trying to get away from. Right? He also doesn't like the narrative that Funky gets to act like he gave him some ultra helpful advice on how to succeed on the show. But then when the ship sinks and the facade cracks, he gets to try to blame Armon for dragging everybody down into the depths of hell. Right? But you know the situation. You know the situation that you walked away from, and you walked away from it for a reason. Right? And if you actually go pull up Armon's live, you'll see he pulled up receipts. Pulled up videos of Al during the good times, saying he loves him and he's my guy. We're going to run this up. We're going to do great things. That didn't last long. Right? He pulled up texts, like I told you. Pulled up emails. He even pulled up YouTube comments on the show from viewers that had the inkling of something ain't right with these motherfuckers. The chemistry has changed and the game has changed. Right? The fight seems a little fixed against Armon. Some people was already saying that. Right? So clearly he was not the sole reason that this show got canceled. His roast certainly shook things up. Again, we had the Lunel situation with Al. And that all happened in the same week. So Fox Soul did have some things that they needed to evaluate due to drama, due to tensions running high, due to the fact that once that weekend really kind of went into effect, everything took a life of its own. Over the course of the next week, it was just like fucking pandemonium. Everybody had something to say, from cast members to affiliates of the cast. People were doing interviews. You know what I'm saying? It was just a whole lot of speculation of things going on. And the whole story didn't really get put out there. It was just assumptions, a little bit of, carrots from key players. But it wasn't enough to really give an overview. Armon then comes to the table and says, yo, I basically came in and was receiving weird energy from everyone involved at some point. So how am I the orchestrator of the downfall when it seems like niggas just didn't really want to be fair with me? Right? So it seems that he endured a lot in a short period of time. And although the roast may have been the thing that put this on everybody's radar in a major way, he doesn't hold no regrets toward it. He said if he could, he would do it again. And he says Al actually got off pretty easy, because if they were in person, it might have got a little physical rather than just a roast. Okay? So say what you want about the situation, but I don't think Armon is the only person to blame. I still feel like everybody played their role. Him and Claudia are still cool, but Claudia played her role. Claudia and Al already had their issues. They have been, she made it very abundantly clear during the breakdown, the meltdown of the show, that they were strictly co-workers. They were once friends, but there was already some rumblings behind the scenes about who's making what, who's bringing in the money, how she's making her money, photos of her assets being taken, and just weird questions, weird vibes. So with that already being at the helm and being the undertone of the relationship, how long were they really going to be able to uphold that and act like everything was just peachy keen, whether Armon came into the show or whomever did? Because you put somebody in a situation that doesn't know anything about none of the issues y'all got going on, or doesn't know the depths of the issues y'all got going on. How are they supposed to react? How are they supposed to move? Especially when y'all are basically kind of trying to pull me in different directions to see how I'm going to react to, like, all right, who should I align myself with on this show? You know what I'm saying? Because clearly I can't fuck with both of y'all, because y'all seem to be trying to sway me against the other. And then production is, you know what I'm saying, you putting the squeeze on production to make me feel like I'm less than, or like I'm doing something wrong. To where Armon said he had to go on air and apologize to both parties at separate times for shit that really didn't involve him. Again, say what you want about Armon. I know a lot of people out there are critical of him at times, but he came with receipts, he came with screenshots, he came with videos. At that point, what can you really ask of a person, right? So there we have that. I know some people are going to have thoughts, things to say, theories, the whole nine. So be sure to go ahead and drop those down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share the video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. All right? Much love and respect, y'all. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rags. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they died of me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.